Welcome to the November 3rd, 2018 edition of the BitcoinNews.com Daily Podcast, where we cover the biggest stories in Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency every single day. You could count on us being here. This is your host, Space Marine. Jumping right into the market analysis, Bitcoin's really steady. It's at 63.30 right now, and Bitfinex is at 63.80. So that premium on Bitfinex has really closed up. So before it was at a premium of $1,000 at $500, then a few $100s, but now it's down to $50 or so. That's less than a 1% premium, whereas it was 10 or 20% before when the crisis started on Bitfinex. It seems like Bitfinex is no longer in crisis. Everything's returning to normal, and Bitcoin's price remains extremely steady. There was a slight price movement a few days ago where it dropped to 6,200 or so, but now it's risen back up, and the Bitcoin market continues to be more stable than it has been in years, pretty much. This is the most stable the Bitcoin market has been since maybe that 2014, 2015, 2016 bear market. So yeah, when you're in a bear market in Bitcoin, that's when it gets the most stable, and this is actually the best time for the ecosystem of crypto, because Bitcoin's the main currency used for business in the crypto space. And now that it's so stable, people don't have to worry about losing money from the market fluctuations and such. So it makes it a better currency when it's like this. So a lot of people are wow, it's not moving. Arthur Hayes, I'm not even going to talk about this too much. I didn't write an article on this, I'm not going to. But Arthur Hayes was saying how volatility is what the market feeds on, because he's from the perspective of one of these traders, because BitMEX makes all of its money, and Arthur Hayes is the CEO of BitMEX. BitMEX makes all of its money on volatility, and he's saying that's what drives the market. That's not true. The businesses, the blockchain and crypto businesses is what drives the market, and also Bitcoin's use as a currency. That's all increased in a bear market where the price is stable. As far as other cryptocurrencies go, Tether has returned to being Tether. Well, it's actually around 99 cents, but it got up to $1, and it's hovering really closer to $1 than it was. It went down as low as 85 or 80 cents before during the crisis, but now it's back to normal. That's because Tether announced they have a banking relationship in the Bahamas now. And they proved all their money's there. About $1.8 billion is in a bank in the Bahamas called Deltec. Other cryptocurrencies, Ethereum is around $200. And things are about par for the course. It's $208 billion market cap right now. Now for our first story. Coinbase is now listing Basic Attention Token, or BAT. Yes, the same spelling as those bats that fly through the air, suck blood out of farm animals, and scare people in general. You don't want to wake up with a bat on your face. So, Coinbase Pro is actually listing BAT. So they started deposits on November 2nd. And they're saying once the liquidity is enough, once they have enough deposits to fund the liquidity on the exchange, the buying and selling, they're going to open up for Coinbase Pro trading. And everything that's listed on Coinbase Pro is also listed on Coinbase. Of course, BAT's going to be listed on Coinbase Pro to start, but once everything goes well, it'll probably just go straight onto Coinbase. That's usually how it works. So Basic Attention Token, BAT, is the official currency, cryptocurrency, the blockchain-based Brave browser. And what they're doing is they're changing the advertising game. So the advertisers on the Brave browser give publishers BAT, and it's based on the performance of the ads. It's very transparent, so the advertisers can see how much the ads actually got looked at, instead of how it is now where people pay good money for ads and then they might not get much out of it, and they still have to pay a big price for it. So it's basically the publishers get paid for the real performance of the ads, and it's paid in BAT, and then the users receive a share of the BAT too, because the users are essential for advertising. Why shouldn't they get paid too? And so it's blockchain based, it's transparent, it reduces fraud, it cuts out the middlemen. So with Google advertising or other advertising services, the advertising company like Google or whoever's having the platform for the ads, whoever makes the advertising platform, they usually get most of the money. So since they're cutting out the middlemen, then give the users money, and even the publishers get more money. So this is getting listed on Coinbase, and Coinbase in the past month has listed 0x and also the USD coin. 0x is a popular ERC20 coin, and USD coin is a stable coin, but it's also ERC20. And so now that they're listing ERC20 tokens, which is Ethereum ERC20 tokens, which is a protocol to make cryptocurrencies using the Ethereum blockchain, all the ERC20 tokens use the same backbone wallet technology, so it's very easy for Coinbase to add them. And Coinbase already said they're going to add every single cryptocurrency that's popular and legal. And that's a lot of them. There's hundreds of them probably that are popular enough and legal enough that they're going to be adding. And they're really ramping up now. So now we have 3 cryptos in the past month added. 0x, USD Coin, and now BAT. And Bat has a market cap near $300 million, placing at number 30 on CoinMarketCap. And whenever a coin gets added to Coinbase, it really rallies, because Coinbase previously had like 5 cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and Litecoin. And Coinbase is the biggest exchange headquartered in the United States, and now has a valuation of $8 billion. And basically, like, it's the go-to exchange here in the United States. When people buy Bitcoin and they're kind of new at it, or even like good at it, they usually go to Coinbase. So there was a real thirst on Coinbase for, like, the traders and investors on Coinbase wanted more than those 5 cryptos, so now they had 0x, USD Coin, and now BAT. And there's probably going to be a lot more. And whenever something gets added to Coinbase, there's a rally. I call this the Coinbase effect. And there's also something called the Binance bump. When something gets added to Binance, there's a rally, but it's very short term on Binance. So that's why it's called the Binance bump. It's like a pump and dump. It's very short term. It lasts like a day or two on average. Sometimes it lasts long term. But Coinbase, I call it the Coinbase effect. It lasts long term. So BAT has already rallied 15% since the announcement it's going to be listed on Coinbase Pro. And in the long term, it'll probably continue. The rally continues long term with Coinbase listings. Like, what I mean by long term is like months. Like, it'll go up and then stay up. On Binance, it goes up for a day and goes back down to where it was, if not lower. But with Coinbase, it'll go up and then just stay at a higher level. The rally doesn't necessarily continue. Like, it doesn't keep going up and up and up. But, like, it'll go up for like a month and then stay up with the Coinbase effect. And the whole crypto space has a lot to look forward to, because all the popular and legal coins are going to be getting added. Like, for example, examples of not legal coins might be Monero, because it's like really hard with the Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering laws. Monero is extremely popular, but that might not get added to Coinbase. But all like the ERC20 tokens, basically, that are popular. Other major cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin, like those will probably all get added to Coinbase, and each one will have its own little rally, big rally, as it gets added to Coinbase. So that'll help the whole crypto market cap. Now for our next story. Charlie Shrem. He's an infamous figure in the Bitcoin world. He started BitInstant, and that was a pretty big exchange in the early days. But now he's being sued by the Winklevoss twins for 5,000 Bitcoins. And just a little about Charlie Shrem. So he ran BitInstant, and he was selling Bitcoin to people. And it's not necessarily true that everything he did was illegal. I don't think that's true at all. But he was busted, I think, by like undercover agent or something like that for selling Bitcoins for purposes on the Silk Road. I think they dropped in the conversation somewhere. I'm not looking at the proof of this right now, but I do remember this. So like an undercover said, "Hey, I'm using this for the Silk Road, and here's like I need $1 million of Bitcoins or something like that." And Charlie Shrem sold it to him anyways, despite the Silk Road reference, and then he got in trouble, and everything he did suddenly became money laundering. So like whatever he sold to the agent didn't matter. Like everything he did, like in the United States, this is how it works. If you get busted with verifiable proof that you're selling Bitcoin for drugs on the Silk Road, which Silk Road doesn't exist anymore, but they're still darknet markets. So if you get busted for one thing in the United States while you're Bitcoin dealing, suddenly every transaction you've done in history becomes money laundering. So that's what happened to Charlie Shrem. He was in prison for like a couple years. He got out in 2016. He washed dishes for a month. Then he became rich again. So yeah, he was busted for like money laundering or Bitcoin. He was in prison. He supposedly lost everything. Then he was washing dishes for a month and ignored the internet. And then he's back. He tried starting a couple companies. Nothing like terribly successful, but he's like out there. He's known because he's one of the first Bitcoin millionaires and like one of the first Bitcoin felons. So he's well known. But then suddenly he bought 6 properties. One of them is like a $2 million mansion in Florida. He bought like a Maserati. He bought like a yacht. So he's like living a really rich lifestyle, and people are wondering like, where did this money come from? So either he hid money from the court, because the court was supposed to know everything he had. That's how it works in these sort of cases of money laundering. So either he hid money, and I don't want to speculate too much, but this is how it has to work. He either hid money or he made money. It doesn't really look like he made money, or someone gave him money for free. That's fairly unlikely. So it goes back to the past with this court case, why this is happening. So he bought a bunch of stuff. He's rich now. Well, the Winklevoss twins are some of the richest people in the Bitcoin world. They're collectively they were worth $1 billion during that rally, and they're going to be worth $1 billion again in the future. They have a ton of Bitcoin, and Charlie Shrem helped get the Winklevoss twins into the Bitcoin world. Like he talked to them a lot about it, and then he took their money and bought Bitcoin with it. They gave him $750,000, most of which he converted to Bitcoin. But there was a payment dispute. So there was a $250,000 payment sent to Charlie Shrem from the Winklevoss twins in September 2012, and he only delivered $189,000 of Bitcoins. And that really pissed off the Winklevoss twins. and they said, hey, this is serious. You owe us $61,000. The transaction took a month, so I don't know how he could fight this in court. He might say, hey, I bought it and then the price changed, or the price changed and then I bought it, whatever. It only takes a few dollars, because the price of Bitcoin that he gave it to them at was at $12.50. But if he says it was like $15 and he can prove it was $15 where he bought it, then he'll win the case, pretty much. So, but there's more details to this. So the Winklevoss twins said, because of this discrepancy, Shrem owes the Winklevoss twins 5,000 Bitcoins. So that went from being worth $61,000 to being worth $32 million, and that's how much they're suing for. Further than that, the Winklevoss twins say they have proved with an investigator, a blockchain forensic investigator, that Shrem moved 5,000 Bitcoins to Zappo and Coinbase. So I think the courts would have found that, actually, if there was anything in there, but I'm just speculating, and unfortunately a lot of this is speculation. Here's just the facts, getting straight to the facts. The Winklevoss twins say Shrem didn't pay them $61,000 worth of Bitcoins that they bought, and that's worth 5,000 Bitcoins, and now that's worth $32 million. And the Winklevoss twins have stated that they think Shrem is using these 5,000 Bitcoins to live his rich lifestyle. Shrem is saying no, that's not true at all, and he's going to fight this case. So that's all there is to it right now, and we're going to have to see how this shakes out. This will probably take years to settle. So the Shrem will be fine for a long time, and so will the Winklevoss twins. Of course, they're going to be fine. But one thing interesting here is if it's proven that he really was hiding money from the court and he has these 5,000 Bitcoins, he has $1 million of restitution to pay for his crime. Whether that restitution is just or not, I wouldn't say it's just, but that's up to the court. They decided yes, he owes $1 million of restitution. If he was hiding 5,000 Bitcoins and owing $1 million of restitution, he's going to be in big trouble. So we'll see how this shakes out, but for now he'll probably be fined for years. It takes forever for court cases to go through. So, in the United States at least. Now for our next story. Alright, so CoinSource is a Bitcoin ATM operator, and they've received the first New York bit license for a Bitcoin ATM operator. So CoinSource was already operating 40 Bitcoin ATMs in the state of New York, around New York City, Westchester, which is a really rich, wealthy suburb of New York City, and Long Island, right next to New York City. So we're in the New York City area. They were operating 40 Bitcoin ATMs under a provisional license. They finally got the real license. Aside from this, there's Genesis Coin, and Genesis Coin is operating maybe more Bitcoin ATMs than CoinSource in New York, but they're probably under provisional license, because CoinSource is definitely the first one that is a Bitcoin ATM operator to get the bit license. A little background on the bit license. The bit license is extremely hard to obtain. You need tons of lawyers, tons of money. Money service business licenses in general take lots of that, money and lawyers. The bit license is the hardest of them all. Most of the major exchanges in the world and the United States have left New York completely. They chose just not to get the bit license and cut off New York customers instead of getting it. Coinbase and Circle. Circle was the first exchange to get it, and then Coinbase got it. But there was a period of time when the bit license was instituted that Bitcoin dealing and Bitcoin trading in general, even on an exchange, was totally illegal in New York. That was pretty much resolved in 2017 when Coinbase got the license. And now, so far, there's 12 companies, crypto companies, that either have a charter or the bit license to operate in New York. I think the charter is the provisional license. But the ones that really got the bit license are Circle, Ripple, Bitflare, Coinbase, Genesis Global Trading, which is Gemini. That's the Winklevoss twins. We just talked about them. BitPay, Square, and CoinSource now. So it's less than 10 really have the license, and that's after years. It was started in 2015. Bitcoin dealing and trading, anything Bitcoin became illegal for a while. And that actually caused Bitcoin to become a black market thing. But then the New York Department of Financial Services really started approving some exchanges, and now there's legal ways to buy Bitcoin in New York. The point of all this is to protect the customers, the investors. They're totally protected. All the money's held in pretty much an escrow with the government. Everything's monitored, completely monitored. And so CoinSource, they said in their statement where they said CoinSource got the bit license that if they do not follow strict anti-money laundering protocols, if they don't take active steps to prevent Bitcoin from being used for illegal activity, and if they don't allow full monitoring of all their activity, and if they don't properly protect customers and respond to all customer complaints, they will lose the bit license. So it's a very hard license to get, and it's even harder to keep, probably. But CoinSource is the first to get it, and this is actually great for their company and Bitcoin in general. Now Bitcoin ATMs can be put all over New York, and I'm sure CoinSource is going to capitalize on this. They're probably going to put as many as they can. Now for our next story, our final story of the day. So EOS is kind of like an Ethereum knockoff. It's a lot different. Ethereum is decentralized. EOS is not decentralized. It's centralized. There's some people saying EOS is not even a cryptocurrency. I have to do more research. I'm about to write an article on that. But I already wrote this article on how now there's a bridge between EOS and Ethereum. So oftentimes people launch cryptocurrencies on Ethereum with ERC20 tokens. And we actually just talked about that. First article on the show about BAT. Well, so they have Ethereum ERC20 tokens. But then companies that have decentralized apps, DApps, might want to have their app on Ethereum and EOS. But at this point, well, now that we have this new thing, it's no longer required. But before, they would have to have an Ethereum token and an EOS token. Because on EOS, you can make tokens too. So if someone was to have like a decentralized app for like selling lemonade, I guess, they would need a token on Ethereum and EOS for it to work. But now they can actually transfer tokens using this new protocol called EOS 21. And it's kind of like a wormhole or like a tunneling or something where you take the Ethereum tokens and you turn them into EOS tokens. Or you take EOS tokens and turn them into Ethereum tokens. And you don't destroy the tokens on either chain. So there's been a rudimentary version of this. Basically, EOS itself was an ERC20 Ethereum token, and they took a snapshot of all the token holdings, and then they transferred all of the EOS tokens over to the actual EOS native blockchain. And that's the two blockchains we're talking about here. So there's the EOS blockchain and the Ethereum blockchain. And before, Ethereum tokens could transfer to EOS, but they have to destroy their entire token supply and existence on Ethereum to transfer to EOS. That's the only way it works. Basically, EOS 21 allows the token to exist on both Ethereum and EOS. So there's multiple dimensions to this. They actually call it dimensions. They're trying to have a wormhole feel to this. In the first dimension, there's a black hole smart contract on the Ethereum blockchain where you send your ERC20 tokens in, and it collects EOS account information simultaneously, and so developers could choose at this point to burn their ERC20 tokens in the black hole or hold them in the smart contract within the black hole and then redeem them later. So this allows the Ethereum token to continue to exist if they decide to hold them. They can use this protocol to burn their token up completely, or they could hold it and have it redeemable. And then also the second dimension is an Oracle program that watches the Ethereum transactions and then authorizes the distribution of the EOS tokens. It doesn't have to be off-chain. They said they're going to put it on-chain on the EOS chain eventually. And then the third dimension is a smart contract on the EOS blockchain that distributes the EOS tokens to the user. So basically what we have here, EOS 21 protocol, it's transporting ERC20 tokens on the Ethereum blockchain into EOS tokens. But they're the same token. So if you trade on the market, it'll have the same value. The EOS tokens are the same as the Ethereum tokens as far as trading goes. They'll have the same name too. So, let's say it's Dogecoin. This is just a bad example because Dogecoin's not on Ethereum or EOS. But let's say there's a Dogecoin on Ethereum. You can move that Dogecoin to EOS and use it and then move it back and forth or whatever and trade it for the same price. And this makes it so you don't have to have two different types of tokens, an EOS token and an Ethereum token. You don't have to have, different ones. Of course, they have to be an EOS token and an Ethereum token to function, but it could be a connected cryptocurrency instead of being separate. This could be considered a scalability solution. Because now, let's say the Ethereum blockchain gets congested, which happens sometimes, then people can move their tokens over to EOS and use their tokens there, where it's not as congested. Or let's say EOS gets congested, people can move their tokens over to Ethereum. And basically, users can decide to move back and forth to avoid transaction fees. So this is a scalability solution because instead of having one blockchain with the token, now there's two blockchains and there's two versions. There's a different version of the DApp on each one, but it should be identical, but using a different network. So that helps scalability. It also helps link Ethereum and EOS ecosystems. And it helps developers basically launch their DApp on both chains and not have to worry about the token. And since if you have a DApp on Ethereum and EOS, there's expanded functionality because their chains, the EOS chain and the Ethereum chain could do different things. Some are better, sometimes they're better at one thing that the other one's not as good at. So there's expanded functionality, and that should increase the DApp's use, and actually it should increase the token price. So this is a good linkage, EOS 21, and that's all we have for you today. On this November 3rd, 2018 edition of the BitcoinNews.com Daily Podcast. Come back tomorrow for another exciting episode and go to BitcoinNews.com 24/7 for the full spectrum of Bitcoin, blockchain, and crypto analysis. This is your host, Space Marine, signing out, going back to space.